Alright, this video goes over HVAC controls and issues with the F-150 Lightning. In heat mode, there is effectively no dash heat that comes out of this vehicle. The fan can support up to 13 miles an hour based on some of the testing you see in the video. The air conditioner also has pretty weak controls. Overall, I hope Ford takes this video and addresses the problems with the truck for heating and air conditioning. It really does make the climate experience in the vehicle less than ideal. Hopefully this helps some engineers address the problems with the truck. Alright, here's a 2022 F-150 Lightning Platinum. We're going to test the HVAC system. I have a temperature probe in the driver's side dash vent and then one on the floor vent. We can see here the temperature is set to 82 degrees Fahrenheit on auto 3 based on the standard settings, and we just turned this truck on. Everything is 61 degrees. And here is a sensor that allows me to see the wind speed and miles per hour as well as the temperature. So I'm going to blow into this. As you can see, the sensor works. Right now, nothing is on that dash vent. Nothing is blowing at all. And temperatures are still at 61 degrees. We're about a minute in. Let's double check the HVAC settings. Once again, these are just out of the box auto settings. You can see the heat's on. It's in driver focused because there's no passenger. I will say that that feature is a little weird. Don't understand the value there. Still nothing on that dash vent at all. So this will just go on for effectively almost the entire time. What you can hear now, the HVAC is starting to kick in, starting to do a little bit at the 2-minute mark. So you can hear the fan, but nothing will come out of this vent. The floor vent, basically you can't feel anything here, and unfortunately I couldn't ever get a great reading off of this this vent up here, but we'll give it a shot. Still nothing at all. Alright, so we see the floor vent's at 115 degrees and we see the dash vent is at 61 degrees Fahrenheit. The vents are open on the truck. In order to close them, you actually slide them one way or the other and it kind of like shuts it down, but in this case, you'll see me mess with it a few times through the video. It's definitely not closed. Trying to move this around to give a fair shake for the sensor, but there's nothing coming out of that at all. Let's go see if we can get a reading off of this floor vent here. Alright, so you see it's at least doing a little something. Not much, it's hardly a reading that you can get out of this. Even if you put your hand there, you don't feel much of anything. And I'm right up on that vent, so 0.6 of a mile an hour. Alright, so we're almost at the 4-minute mark here. And the truck is, not really heating well. It is an electric truck, so this heat should be instant. And if I were to manually turn it to high, it would be. So we see that the temperature is 145 is what that probe is seeing. But the air coming out of it's very weak, which never gets to the sensor that's in my hand, and therefore we don't ever feel anything. like as an actual person in the cabin. Another try. You can definitely feel a little bit of air coming off of this, but nothing that really registers. And perhaps there's a better way to test the velocity off of that, or the volume of air, but this is the tools I got. So all right, floor vent's 142, dash vent's still 60, based on this temperature probe that's there. And the cabin temp is, 73. Let's turn off driver focused. I'm not really sure what this does other than like makes the passenger vents blow. Sometimes it makes the fans sound louder, but you don't feel any extra anything. So like that vent is also doing basically nothing. And this one will continue to also do nothing. Let's go check this side. If I were to put the temperature probe here, I would assume we're going to see the same temperature. All right, here's me messing with the vent to see if I can turn it on or off, but it's on. It's the way it always normally sits. All right, one more reading. Dash vent is 63 degrees. The floor vent's 138. Continue to just watch this. This is pretty much more of the same. Once again, the sensor works. What I've noticed is that the temperature sensor that's in my hand here, it does seem to take it a little while to bring its temperature down. You'll notice later in the video when it gets quite hot, it takes it a while to settle down. But this temperature probe here, this thing's pretty accurate and pretty quick. So 160 on the floor vent, 60 on the dash vent, and really you can't feel any volume of air here. I think that's the entire problem. I don't think the truck has any heating issues. I think, in fact, the heat out of it is very hot. It's just the realistic problem is that the volume of air it's pushing across is not useful enough to keep the truck this large warm. The other thing to take in consideration, we're sitting here, we're approaching the 8-minute mark, and the truck is sitting, so there's no air coming around it. It's not at interstate speeds being cooled off in that way. And so if this is the best it can do parked, it really gets easy to kind of understand where it would be if we're actually driving. Same situation goes for if you need to clean off the windshield, right? Let's say there's ice or snow or whatever. It takes it a significant amount of time due to a volume issue, I believe. Just validating more of the same. All right, 66 on the dash vent, 147 on the floor vent. But as we saw earlier, the temperature around my feet is like 70 degrees. You would think it would be a lot higher if it pushed like a significant volume of air. Let's just go check other areas in the cabin. I also have this temp gun here. We'll just do some more measuring. 64. I never got a great shot with this one here. It's kind of hard to get that to work. All right, so we're at 10 minutes of this thing trying to heat itself to 82 degrees, and we're at 71 degrees. All right, let's cycle through the auto settings. There's 3 auto settings, and I've never noticed really any change. The fan, you can hear the fan change, but you don't feel it at all. All right, that dash vent continues to do nothing. And here we are, 71 degrees after 10 minutes, 10 and a half minutes, while the truck's commanded to do 82 degrees. All right, this is where I think the temperature sensor lives, and so maybe it's a better indication as to what the truck thinks the temperature is, but still it's at 75 degrees. Let's check this again. All right, so the dash vent's 70 and the floor vent's 154. You don't feel the temperature, but that's what at least the probe shows. Oh, we got some velocity now. 4.4, it's way higher than I think we've ever seen. 95 degrees. The thing I've noticed with the truck is that you'll feel the temperature there, and then you'll also feel it kind of go cold. The probe doesn't really show that here, which maybe that's just it cycling the fan, so you don't notice it. Or you notice when the fan's on, and you notice the lack of it when it's off. So right now, the truck is definitely not 86. This is where the temperature reading of that sensor there is just a little slow. So they're trying to bring it down to something that's actually reasonable for what the truck is. Alright, so 70 degrees off of that vent. It's, pretty much the same. Check the temperature in the back. I really just think the sensor doesn't fall down very rapidly, so it definitely doesn't feel like 80 back there, really, at any way. Doesn't feel like it even in the driver's seat, but you'll see that the temperature will constantly come down. And I'm not sure if it really comes through on the video, but the fan hasn't changed. It hasn't ramped up or down. It's basically been the same the entire time, besides the time we cycled through the audio settings. But everything, you know, is around the same temp. And like there's areas that are getting warmer. It's definitely not completely broken. It's just very slow. Gets overwhelmed at speed. And if it was actually cold outside, right, it's probably 60 in my garage. This is kind of not that useful of a heating system. All right, so we did pass the 15-minute mark, so we're at like 15:30. And I would say now the truck is approximately-ish warm. However, it's still not to its target. And it's quite a ways off of the target. All right, let's kick it up to high. You can hear the fans ramping, but nothing comes out of these vents. So it mainly sounds like it's coming out of the dash, but you can feel it blowing something. It's just not significant. I believe if there was air going across this, we'd see that temperature stay about the same, but it's gonna fall ever so slowly. Check it with this gun. All right, so we see the bottom vent, right? It's 158, and the top vent's 80, and that is a ton of heat. If it would just blow the heat out of the system, this thing would probably be amazing. But somewhere it feels like the air is stalled, or the logic to this fan control is just off. And so let's do, I think here I end up playing with the settings. Yeah, so we're gonna push it to this, and we should start to see it blowing something here. Just kick it to high. All right, we can see that it actually can blow air out of this vent. 9 miles an hour. .130-degree temps, like that's pretty awesome. That's what I would like it to do when it's commanded to. All right, now let's to the floor. So we dropped, realistically over, 3 miles an hour. The HVAC controls on this thing are frustrating and annoying, kind of like this. They just pain in the ass, really. Right, so now when this is set to this mode, we basically go back to very little. But at least there's something there. There's 3 miles an hour. Where in all the other auto modes, there's basically nothing. All right, let's kick the fans as high as they'll go, which is 7. I have no idea why the UI is 7. If anyone could actually explain why that makes sense, that'd be cool. So right now, nothing. Like, we have it set to defrost, to the dash vents, and to the floor. We got nothing. So now let's just go to the floor and to the dash vents. Yeah, there we go. 6.7. You know, we got 130 degree air out of this. This is perfect. All right, full send on the dash vents. Let's see where this gets us. Almost 10 miles an hour of air out of this at 140 degrees. Like, why is it not just doing this in auto modes? You have 3 levels forward. Like, do something. All right, so let's kick it to the dash. And we see it basically goes to 0. So, all right, there it's coming back up. I don't quite understand why this is the case with that. And one more time, everything. Remember, the fan is on full, number 7. All right, a little bit of a rough transition here to another clip. I didn't think about it, but we're going to get out of the truck and then go see what the temperature is of the cabin. I literally had just stopped the video. But it's like, I don't know, 77, 78 degrees, which is kind of close to where it was asked to be, which was 82. But we've also been running the heat for the last 3 to 4 minutes on absolute max, and this is where it's at. So my next test here is turn the air conditioner on, and let's see what this is like. I'll say overall, the air conditioner isn't as terrible. It's not great, but it's just not as bad. So we're going to test that. And this is after, 20 minutes of heating at 82 degrees with that last few minutes that we did at full high 7 on the fan, cycling through the various modes. Yeah, it looks like maybe it's gonna get to 80. And this is probably where I'm gonna guess it's gonna just stop. The thing is, it feels fairly warm in that truck at this point. But if you were going down the interstate, it doesn't do a great job keeping up. And there's, the bottom one is the floor vent, the top one was the dash vent, as I recall. All right, let's start the truck and do this air conditioning test stuff. All right. Sweet responsiveness from the screen, like always. All right, something that's not just full low, but one above the low. And we're getting 5.8 miles an hour out of the air conditioner. And actually, I do notice that the air conditioner part's not on, but like it's sucking air out from the outside. So we'll need to turn the air on here in just a second, but that's disabling driver focus to keep the test semi-fair. And the vents, there you go. Things are cooling down. But, almost 6 miles an hour of air out of this at 62 degrees. Like, you can at least feel this. In the heat mode, you don't feel any of this at all. You can see a small response from the various auto modes, but nothing significant. All right, turn it to low, see what it can do. And we'll turn the air on. Max AC, so here we go. We're getting almost 12 miles an hour out of this vent. They're almost 13. And before, remember when we tested the 7, the max we ever saw is 10 miles an hour. So it's like Ford is holding back on the fan speed for whatever reason in heat modes, and even generally what you can even control. Like, I would like 12 mile an hour fan control all the time. I mean, hell, it went to 13, but now I just kicked it back into auto. So that's where it's going to drop out. Anyway, that's the HVAC system.